Oh, but you know better, babe. Between the almost atoms and broken bones, the dream of a buckle I'll never put on. I'm jaded, oh, I hate it, but somehow the highs outweigh the lows, and I do it all again, even though we both know I'd still have to let you go. So dear rodeo.
Hey guys, one question I get from a lot of people is if they can trick ride in their Western saddle at home. And I thought today I would go over the differences between a trick riding saddle and a Western saddle to show that it's not a good idea to trick ride in a Western saddle. So the first main difference you probably notice is the horn. And that is what allows us to be able to do most of our tricks. That horn is super important whenever trick riding. And the horn on a trick riding saddle is metal and it's built in within the tree. That is why it is so important that you get a good trick saddle so that those horns are built and made with the tree and not just glued on. If a trick riding horn is glued on, it's likely to break, and that means that you've probably bought a really cheap trick saddle and it's not a very safe trick saddle. The second main difference is the way a trick saddle is built. So you probably noticed that the trick saddle looks very flat, and that is because it has a really small pommel and a very low cantle. This is what my Western saddle's pommel and cantle looks like. You can see the cantle slopes up quite a bit and the pommel is high. And on the trick saddle, the pommel sits very low and close to the seat of the saddle, and the same with the cantle. And that allows me to easily move and get in and out of tricks without getting caught on the saddle. Another big difference is straps. Our trick saddles have Cooper handholds on the back of the saddle, and that allows us to do some tricks as well as get in and out of tricks that we need to. Those are very important, especially whenever learning the basics of trick riding. And you probably noticed this, a lot of trick saddles are white. Really, they can come in all sorts of colors. I've even seen some trick saddles that were green, but they can be brown, black, white, anything. So the main difference between trick riding saddles and Western riding saddles is that trick riding saddles are made for trick riding. They're made for people to be getting in and out of those tricks and to be using that leather that way. And Western saddles aren't. So whenever you're using a Western saddle while trick riding, it's likely going to break. If trick riding is something you want to do, please go to a professional trainer. Find some way to get in a clinic or to get lessons. Try it out first, and then you can see if you want to buy the equipment. A clinic is probably your best bet, because you're going to probably get to work all day and learn some extreme basics of trick riding, and you'll get to see what it's like and see if it's something that you want to do. Then, once you know that trick riding is something that you want to do, you can buy a saddle with the help from a trainer or a coach or something like that. They can tell you what trick saddles are good to buy and what trick saddles aren't. The way to start trick riding is not by buying a saddle and buying a trick riding horse. It's going to a trained professional, somebody reputable who knows what they're doing and has a lot of experience in trick riding. Don't just Google trick riding saddle and buy the first one that you see, because there are trick saddles out there that will break and that are not made very well. There are trick saddles that are made very cheaply, and those tend to be the trick saddles that people who don't know much about trick riding buy, and then they break and then they get seriously hurt. So do a lot of research on trick riding saddles before you buy one. I'd recommend having a lot of clinics, a lot of lessons, and getting to know trick riding before you buy the saddle. You can use somebody else's saddles and somebody else's horses until you know for sure that trick riding is something that you want to do. Once you have done some clinics or some lessons and you know for sure that trick riding is something you want to do, then I recommend asking a professional in person what kind of trick riding saddle they would recommend. Trick riding as itself in a trick riding saddle is already very dangerous, and doing it in a Western saddle is just even more dangerous and asking for an accident to happen. Do not put yourself or your horse in danger, because I've been seeing a lot of videos of people attempting it in a Western saddle. I wanted to come on here and give some tips on how to start trick riding the safe way. As always guys, please be safe and thank you for watching.
Between the almost atoms and broken bones, the dream of a buckle I'll never put on. I'm jaded, oh I hate it, but somehow the highs outweigh the lows, and I do it all again, even though we both I'd still have to let you go. So do you